Okay, so I'm going to talk you through the 2012 reading paper. First question, the answer was 1665. Most people got this one correct, quite straightforward. The next question about the plague being terrifying. Again, most people successfully identified that it was swellings and fever that were terrifying about the plague. So question 3, what were the plague orders and how did they help to prevent the spread of disease? So for this one you had to be really clear about the fact that they hung up a red cross outside the house, that this was a warning to people, that this stopped people from going in or out of the house, and that as a result this meant that there was less chance for people to get contaminated. So you had to clearly show that you understood what the plague orders were. Some people maybe got 1 mark for this question because they only said 1 point about the Red Cross, but most people managed to get this one right as well. Next, question 4. So this is asking what we know now that caused the plague. So this is different to what they thought caused the plague then. So nowadays we know that it's bacteria which causes disease rather than poisonous air or it being hot. Question 5 was a diagram. Now this one is very specific about what you have to say. So it says either the fact that you're getting the idea that it's in an order, that there's different stages, that it shows a chain of events, that things link in together, or that you explain why it's easy to understand. For example, some people don't really like reading, or you say that it's a summary. Now, if you just say it has pictures to help you understand, like here, then that's not enough, so you wouldn't get a mark if you just put that. So you do have to give quite a lot to get that 1 mark on question 5. Number 6, what did the Mayor of London do and how did it make the situation worse? This one you either seemed to get or you didn't. So this was the fact that they destroyed all the cats and dogs because they thought it was their fault, and then they couldn't chase the rats away that were carrying the disease. So it's the fact that because the mayor said to destroy the cats and dogs, it makes things worse because then they don't have their natural predator. So you needed to have that bit of explanation to get the 2 marks. Samuel Pepys wrote his diary at the time of the plague. Why do you think it is included in an information text? Now, even if it's a 1 mark, it is wanting a bit of information, so either saying something like it explains what it felt like during the plague, to know what it was like living there at the time of the plague, the fact that he was actually there. So you had to make it really clear that it was his own diary, it's his own view, and that you understood that he was there at the plague, and so it's his actual experiences, which is giving you that extra information. Okay, question 8, most people got this one. So took away the apprehension. So apprehension is a negative emotion, so it's taking away the negativity, which makes somebody feel better. Okay, so this one about Hannah. So fairly obvious that she's in the market, that she sees people selling roots and herbs. I think question 11 is a little bit ambiguous, but she was mostly fascinated by the goods for sale. Most people got churchyard and that the children were playing. And sugared plums, the clues in the sugared part, that it's sweets, and that Sarah was preparing the food when Hannah arrived. Some people got that one wrong. Okay, about Hannah in a hurry. So you needed to have 2 different points for why Hannah was in a hurry. So, for example, that it was getting dark, that she didn't know her way around, that there was danger, that she wanted to see her sister, or that she was hungry. So you had to be quite explicit about what it was that she wanted. If it was me, I would probably go for 2 very different ones. So I'd probably go for something like the fact that it's getting dark and the fact that she wants to see her sister. So there's like something pushing her away and there's something pulling her towards her sister's house. This one you either understood or you didn't. Why the words dad and body written in inverted commas. So the children, they weren't actually dead, they were just pretending. So the inverted commas shows you that they're just pretending. What did the author mean when she described Sarah as looking very cool? A few people got confused on this one. So it means that she looks either not too hot, or it means that she looks quite calm and collected. So I'd probably think that it means that she looks calm, but you were allowed points for those two as well. And again, some people weren't quite sure how to explain this. So you have to explain the fact that nowadays cool means something different. So it might mean that she looked fashionable. So you had to explain that nowadays cool has a different meaning, and that's why modern readers might get a little bit confused. So you might say, nowadays we might think that she looks fashionable, or nowadays she looks like a gangster. Interesting, maybe. Okay. 19. Not many people got the full 3 marks for this one. So you needed to explain fully and develop it. So there are different acceptable points that you could make. You definitely needed to refer to Hannah and to Sarah and to 3 things. So for example, Hannah was upset at the change of plan. She was upset because there wasn't much of a welcome from Sarah. She was upset because her hope and excitement were dashed. That means she was so excited and then it was all kind of came crashing down. She's worried she's made her sister annoyed. She's upset that her sister's forgotten that she's coming. Sarah is upset because she told her sister not to come and then she's appeared. She's annoyed that the message didn't get through, and she's scared that Hannah is going to get the plague. So you needed any of these 3, and you need to refer to Hannah and Sarah. So here are some examples of what you might have said to get the 3 marks. So for example, I'll read out this one. Hannah had wanted to see her sister Sarah and got a letter from Sarah saying she could go, but Hannah didn't get the letter after saying she couldn't go. Therefore, Hannah was upset that she could not stay because of the plague, and Sarah was upset because she didn't want Hannah to get the plague. So there, we've got those 3 points identified. Letter going astray, change of plan, fear of exposure to plague. Okay, so check through your own. Have you got those 3 points? And if not, which ones could you choose instead? Okay, so this is continued. This is the same question continued, so it goes into quite a lot of detail in this. You can see what you'd get for 2 marks if you made reference to 2 points, and 1 mark if you just made reference to 1 point. Number 20, about Hannah breathing a sigh of relief. You either understood this or you didn't again. So this is the idea that Hannah was mainly worried about thinking that Sarah was annoyed at her, whereas she sort of thought she'd done something wrong, and then when she realises that the letter's gone astray, she's really relieved that there's no bad feelings. It will also get a point if you've put, it might show that she doesn't really realise how serious the plague was. So that's something else you might have got a point for. So number 21, how can you tell that Sarah was scared of the plague from how she spoke and what she did? So how she spoke, there's quite a few different things she did. So she paused between and repeated about. She didn't finish her sentences. She whispered. She mumbled. So there's lots of dots in her speech, like ... and dashes, and that shows that she's kind of pausing and hesitating and mumbling. What she did, she looked around and shuddered slightly. She behaved as if it were right behind her. She kept trying to send Hannah back. She told Hannah to leave quickly. She tried to convince her sister to go home. So any of these would have got you the mark. Number 22 was a compare and contrast question. So it's asking you to explain what it was like in Sarah's shop and what it was like in the market, and thinking about what was happening there, about the atmosphere, and about the words used by the writer. So there's a lot of opposites. So like in the market it's noisy, Sarah's shop's quiet. Market has lots of crowds. Sarah's shop's peaceful, there's not many people there. The market's dirty, Sarah's shop's clean. The market's smelly, Sarah's shop has a nice pleasant smell. The market's dangerous, whereas Sarah's shop is safe. The market's unpleasant, Sarah's shop is comfortable. So these are the sort of contrasts that you need to identify. So for example, for 3 marks, you might say something like, the market was crowded and noisy, but Sarah's shop was clean and quiet. It says that the people were jostling and there were shrill cries. Sarah's shop was described as pleasant. So you can see this person has used inverted commas to include quotes from the text. So that's what you need to be doing. You need to be using the words from the writer, like jostling, shrill cries, pleasant. So you're using those specific words to draw the comparisons. Okay, so this shows what you could get for 2 marks. So you might say something like, after being outside, Sarah's shop was clean and quiet and nice smelling, with the floor thick with straw and herbs. So we've got 2 points. You'd only get 1 mark for a simple contrast. So something like, Sarah's shop was nice and clean, but the market was a rough place. Number 23, most people got this. Everything is going to be perfectly fine, or so it seemed. What does the last line suggest about what was going to happen? So it gives you this idea that, it seemed to be perfectly fine, but actually it's probably going to get wrong. It's going to go wrong. So either Hannah's going to die or Sarah is. Maybe one of them's going to get the plague. Something bad's probably going to happen. But you couldn't be that vague. You had to say specifically they're probably going to get the plague. Number 24. This was a straightforward tick box one. So the flowers and herbs, they were used to prevent, because they were used to stop the bad smells, whereas wine, bathing in milk, and the delicious sounding eating toads, that was all designed to cure the plague, although obviously it wouldn't have had any effect at all, apart from making you quite sick. 25, tobacco is bad for your health. So that's surprising to us, because it says even tobacco is highly valued as a medicine. Surprising that tobacco is ever used as a medicine. So the people who treated the plague victims were sometimes feared. Why? Now there's a very entertaining picture of them on the front. They look very, very strange. So you might have said about the fact that they had a cane. You might have mentioned their clothes and their appearance, so their frightening appearance, the horrible remedies, or the fact that they could possibly be infectious, that they could spread the disease around. Most people were okay on this one. They do look quite threatening and scary, but you have to be really close to the meaning. So not just they were frightening, you had to say because of what they were, they looked frightening. You have to expand on that a bit. Number 27, think about what we now know about how plague spread. How did the long overcoat really give protection? So here you had to say the fact that because it was long and all your skin's covered up, it would have stopped the fleas from biting you. Most people have got this one fine, so I won't talk about this one. Number 29, we all fall down. So you had to say that these are quotations from the rhyme. So you said something like, because these are words from the rhyme, it's the line they are describing, it's part of the rhyme. Because those are the words being explained. So you have to be quite clear on this one. A few people weren't too sure. This one, about 70% of people got it right. So it's the idea that it's thought by some. So it's not saying it definitely is linked to the plague. It's saying it's just thought by some people. So it's an opinion rather than a fact. Number 31. Most people got this one okay. So Hannah thought that London was a safe place to be. Her reasons are in the table below. Next to Hannah's reasons, explain why she was wrong. So she thought the plague was only in on one house, but we know that it was carried by the air, rats and fleas, spread easily. It was in lots of different houses. The best doctors were there, but the doctors were useless and there was no proper treatment. So you need to explain why Hannah is wrong. Number 32, a few people recognised that this is an example of personification. So the plague is not alive, the the bacteria is. So the plague is not a thing, it's not a person, but they're describing it as a great and horrible brute. So if you said that it was personification, well done. And so they're saying it's like a person that could reach out and infect you, that it was evil and tries to get everybody. You might have said it's like a big, horrible bully. The plague will always try and find you, it follows you wherever you go. It's like a nasty creature. So the people who made a reference to the fact that it's like describing the plague as a monster, then you'd have got the 2 marks. If you just sort of identified with it in a simple way, with the fact that it's sort of nasty or cruel, then you just get 1 mark. So question 34, final question, true or false? So this is just based on facts. So if you didn't get any of those right, have a look now. So it should be true, true, false, 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 and see if you can find in the text the point where you would have been able to get those correct answers.